Hello and welcome to the Hindu special live edition on the Maharashtra and Jharkhand elections. Uh, if we were to look, the results are one each for the opposition and the ruling alliance. While in Jharkhand, JMM led opposition alliance is far ahead of the NDA. In Maharashtra, the exact opposite has happened. BJP has emerged as the single largest party, and the Mahayuti is far, far ahead of the opposition, Mahavikas Agadi. The election, as per the election commission figures at 2:30, BJP in Maharashtra is leading on 129 seats, Shiv Sena Shinde on 56, NCP Ajit Pawar faction 39, and while on the other end, Shiv Sena UBT is ahead only on 19 seats, Congress on 20, NCP Sharad Pawar faction has only 12 seats, CPM is ahead on 2. In Jharkhand, is leading on 33 seats, BJP on 21, RJD on 5, CPIML on 2. So this is an interesting election in many way. And first, we will go to Jharkhand. We will speak to our correspondent. We are bringing you an army of correspondents and analysts to talk about this election. And over the next 45 to 1 hour, we will be discussing not just the assembly election results, but also the important bypoll seats. And you will get a crux of what are the larger trends and what went behind bringing these results. First we will speak to Amit Bhelari, who is there in Jharkhand and who has been camping for several days now in Jharkhand. Amit, can you hear us?
Yes, 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 Sobhana, I can hear you.
Okay, Amit. So, what are the results shocking or surprising in any which way for you?
For me, the result is not surprising because I have spent a lot of time in Jharkhand. I mean, for past 2-3 months, I was uh, traveling across Jharkhand and meeting people. And on the ground, I found that the kind of rhetoric which was being narrated by Bharatiya Janata Party, like Bangladeshi infiltration, corruption, and all these issues did not work. These issues did it had no impact on the ground because,
Okay.
and I feel that this Maya Saman Yojana, which is started by uh, Jharkhand Chief Minister Hemant Soren, has made a big impact among the women voters because this is for the first time that Jharkhand has witnessed the biggest voter turnout since the formation of Jharkhand, and women have played a significant role because they have outnumbered the men. So, these things are happening only because of that Maya Samani Yojana, because every woman is now getting rupees 1,000. And suppose if there is a family member of four women is there in one family, that family is getting 4,000 rupees. And all this issue have favored Chief Minister Hemant Soren. And as you see the number, because last time this India bloc had won 47 seats. This time they have crossed that mark as well. They are approaching almost 50, 56. And the biggest setback is Adisu, Sudesh Mehto, because he himself is trailing on his seat, that is Silli. So for Sudesh Mehto, it is a big setback because he is contesting on 10 seats, but out of 10 seats, just one candidate is leading.
But
Yes, Shabana?
Amit, the BJP's gambit of bringing, of trying to put Hemant Soren on the mat with the whole corruption charge against him and arresting him, that seems to have played against the BJP. Did it have any impact on the voters, his arrest?
Yes, yes, you're right. Because after the verdict of the Jharkhand High Court, which clearly stated that there was no role of chief minister in that so-called alleged land scam case in which he
I
was
think we
put
have.
behind the bars. So somewhere this issue has also, did not go well with the, Bharatiya Janata Party, because the tribals voted unitedly for the JMM and its allies partner. Because, because in the every rallies, uh, Hemant Soren and his wife Kalpana Soren, they were telling the voters that he was put behind the bars under a conspiracy of Bharatiya Janata Party. So that issue has also bounced back.
Okay, thanks, Amit. I think we will switch to Abhinay, who also traveled along with Amit for several days at a stretch in Jharkhand. Abhinay, I want you to answer one particular question. This whole narrative of the BJP narrative of infiltrators taking the space of the tribal community and appropriating their women and assets, the whole campaign, how did it pan out, and what did you hear from the voters on ground?
Hi, Shobna. So as we all saw, one of the centerpieces of the BJP's campaign all over Jharkhand was the issue that he was trying to make in the Santhal Pargana region, which is the northeasternmost corner of the state. And because of its border sharing with West Bengal and its closeness to Bangladesh, the campaign was about the infiltration, so-called infiltration from outside the country, where the BJP was trying to use the demographic changes in Santhal Pargana, which indicated a increased proportion of Muslims in the population compared to 50 years ago. So that was being justified by the BJP throughout the campaign as a result of infiltration from outside the country. Clearly, it was aimed at breaking the coalition that the JMM has built over the years of bringing together Muslim communities and Adivasi communities and certain non-Adivasi Hindu communities under banners of identity like the 1932 land register, so on and so forth. So, I mean, the attempt was to break that and maybe get some of the Adivasi voters towards their side, in addition to the strong base that they already have. The campaign played out almost every speech. Prime Minister Modi, Narendra Modi, was making a point to mention the infiltration, starting with all the star campaigners from Himanta Biswa Sarma, Assam Chief Minister, to Champai Soren, who said the sole reason he quit the JMM and went to the BJP was because he wanted to dedicate the rest of his political career to the issue of infiltration in Santhal Pargana. In fact, a very senior MLA of the JMM, Mr. Lobin Hembrom, who has been solidifying the JMM's base in an assembly constituency like Borio, even he switched, is insisting that the issue in Santhal Pargana of infiltration was a real threat to the Adivasi society that lives there. However, the results today are showing that the electoral map of Santhal Pargana, which has about 18 seats, has not significantly changed after this campaign that the BJP has run, except for Rajmahal, which has been held by the BJP for the longest time, at least 3 election cycles. BJP has won, is leading on maybe Jarmundi, which is another seat in the Santhal Pargana region. Again, not a reserved seats. On tribal seats like Barhet, Borio, Mr. Hembrom is trailing in Borio after having switched to BJP. In Barhet, the Chief Minister Hemant Soren is leading with a comfortable margin. And Congress is able to protect its share of the seats within the Santhal Pargana region as far as the leads and the trends that we're seeing right now. So when we were in Santhal Pargana looking into the voter sentiment as far as the Adivasi society is concerned in that region, it was very clear that the demographic changes were clearly a concern among the Adivasi society. But a lot of the people we spoke to in regions like Rajmahal, in Barhet, in Borio, we spoke to said that the demographic changes were a larger issue, and they did not see whether an assembly election could actually change something so fundamental to their existential crisis as demographic changes, because they have perceived a threat from all outsiders, which is religion agnostic. They perceive a threat from outsiders irrespective of religion. under the issue of their culture being diluted, their way of life being diluted by mixing and matching with all other communities that live in Jharkhand. So the issue that they were speaking of as far as this election was concerned were infrastructural issues. A lot of people in villages, a lot of Adivasi voters in villages across Rajmahal, Sahibganj district, called for water tankers to be fixed and not leaking, called for
Also,
regular power, called for roads, and called for subsidies and schemes to reach their houses first.
Also, Abhinay, if I'm not wrong, from your story, there was also a counter narrative built by the JMM calling BJP's campaigners outsiders.
Oh, definitely, definitely. That was also a huge part because of the way the BJP was driving the campaign. The leaders who were driving the campaign were largely chief ministers, former chief ministers, or existing chief ministers outside of Jharkhand. For example, current union minister and former Madhya Pradesh chief minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan, Assam chief minister Himanta Biswa Sarma. So this was kind of used by the JMM, which Mr. Hemant Soren, his wife Kalpana Soren, both have made it a point to mention in stages and in campaign speeches that these were essentially outsider leaders who were trying to break Jharkhand apart. So the BJP's campaign in general was that JMM and Congress and RJD will break people apart. So they were countering that with "Ek hai to safe hai." That was the campaign slogan that he had coined. But on the other hand, the JMM had flipped the table on the BJP, referring to one of the speeches that BJP MP Mr. Nishikant Dubey had given in Parliament. He had in fact made an argument that the demographic changes in Santhal Pargana called for the region to be carved out as a union territory. So now, by the fag end of the campaign, JMM was using those remarks to then allege and accuse the BJP of actually trying to want to break, Jharkhand apart by separating Santhal Pargana. So that counter was happening, and in addition to that, what helped the JMM in frame its campaigning is that they were able to use individual instances of atrocities against scheduled tribes in states like Madhya Pradesh and the Northeast and in BJP ruled states. And these were some atrocities that were very prominently highlighted in local WhatsApp groups across districts like Pakur, Rajmahal, and Maheshpur, so on and so forth. So all of this coming together kind of helped the JMM flip the narrative to a certain extent on the kind of framing that the BJP was going for throughout the election.
Abhinay, stay online, stay with us because I will want to speak to you about Champai Soren. But before that, I want to go to Srinivasan Ramani, our deputy national editor, because I want to talk more about data in terms of Santhal Pargana and what are the trends. What do the trends indicate as of now?
Yeah, just to validate what Abhinay was just telling us, we have, I mean, I'm reflecting data when 25% of the votes were counted. As of now, around 45% of the votes have been counted in Jharkhand. If you look at a region-wise, if you look at Jharkhand results region-wise, and look at Santhal Pargana in particular, out the 18 seats, the India bloc, that is JMM and its allies, are leading in 16, while the BJP and allies are leading only in 2. But more importantly, in terms of vote share, the in Santhal Pargana is where the JMM-led alliance has had the highest vote share. Their vote share is close to 52.2%, as opposed to the BJP's alliance's 37.2%, almost a 15 percentage point increase over that. So clearly, one could say that the incendiary rhetoric that the BJP used in order to make a mark in these regions has clearly not worked. We can also say that the large vote share difference compared to other regions would suggest that it backfired. For example, in Palamu, the NDA has a mild, almost the vote share is almost the same, 37.3, 37.3. In South Chota Nagpur, it's 48.2 for JMM plus 37.2 for NDA. 46.5% in Kolhan versus 35.9 for NDA. In North Chota Nagpur is 38.6 and NDA is slightly ahead, 40.6. But Santhal Pargana is where you see a big difference. And this also is reflected in terms of seat increases compared to 2019. The JMM Alliance has gained 3 seats since 2019, while the NDA Alliance has lost 2 seats. So yeah, data perfectly validates what Abhinay was talking about. And it's not just that the rhetoric didn't work, it probably backfired on that.
That is deeply interesting. Do we have Amit still with us to, if he can join back in to speak about the Congress's performance? Amit, how do you rate Congress's
Well,
performance in
Con-
Jharkhand?
uh, Congress performance overall is, I mean, they are repeating their previous year performance because this in 2019 as well, Congress had won 16 seats, and this time also they are somewhere near the same figure. So I mean, they have this time they have contested more seats, I mean, in comparison to last assembly election, but their performance is almost the same. Just one point that this Gupta, who is the minister in Hemant Soren government, he is contesting from Jamshedpur West. He seems to be, I mean, trailing in that seat against Saryu Rai. I mean, Saryu Rai is a person who had defeated incumbent Chief Minister Raghuvar Das in 2019. I mean, Banna Gupta
Yes,
is
big name.
trailing. Yes. So Congress performance, I mean, I- when the sheet sharing arrangement was going on, JMA was not ready to give more than 25 seats to Congress party. But I mean, after the interference of the top leaders of the Congress party, uh, Congress backed their 30 seats. So after that 30 seats, their performance is, we can say that whatever they performed last assembly, they had a similar performance. So
Yeah,
of course, I
not
mean,
particularly
there is a
impressive
talk
when
that
your other leading ally has
yes,
pulled more than their weight, especially
yes,
as Shrini just pointed out, they managed to flip back on the BJP the entire narrative about infiltrators in Santhal Pargana. I think we'll bring back Abhinay Lakshman for. We need to have a quick chat on Champai Soren. You
Yeah.
visited his constituency. You
Yes.
met him during the campaign, and the man, against all odds, as of now, as per the Election Commission website, is roughly 28,905 votes ahead of the Jharkhand Mukti Morcha candidate.
Yeah.
So, how did he sort of manage to swing
So
this?
yeah, I mean, a lot of Champai's personal campaign in Saraikela was interesting because sure he was a face of the BJP raising the issue of Santhal Pargana, which is up north, and Champai's region is Kolhan, which is down south. But as far as the campaign within his own area was concerned, he was very interestingly focused on one thing: his 5 months as chief minister. A lot of people we spoke to said that he worked like a nayak, like a film hero, trying to pass things on as quickly as possible. A lot of his supporters were of this opinion that had he been CM, had he continued to be CM for a little bit more time, he might have done a lot of the things that were left aside. So that is one thing that he did play on. Definitely a lot of the schemes that Hemant Soren and JMM have been campaigning on, Champai himself took credit for in his campaign. For instance, Maya Samman and so on and so forth. So those were things that he himself campaigned on. They were JMM talking points that Champai was campaigning on. And of course, there were a lot of hurt sentiments among Adivasi voters because they have been voting for Champai Soren under the JMM banner for 3 election cycles, more than that. And Champai Soren has been known to consolidate the JMM's base and politics in the Kolhan region. But sure, while Champai Soren's lead seems very impressive despite his switch, what we are seeing is that his impact has not followed through beyond his seat, in the Kolhan
More of a
region.
personal touch. Yeah.
Yeah, so for instance, his son, who was contesting from Ghatshila on a BJP ticket, Babulal Soren, is trailing by more than 10,000 votes on Ghatshila seat that has gone back, that is still with the JMM. And we have, JDU was coming up earlier in Jamshedpur West. And I mean, BJP is only managing to lead. Last I saw was on Jamshedpur East. Apart from that, the JMM and Congress seem to be sweeping throughout the Kolhan region. Congress has Jagannathpur so far, and we are still waiting on other seats like Ichagar. What an interesting contest in Kolhan is showing out to be is the Potka Assembly constituency, which is where former Tribal Affairs Minister Arjun Munda's wife, Ms. Meera Munda, is contesting from. There's a very, very tight battle. Less than 100 vote difference in each round is coming up between Meera Munda and the Jharkhand Mukti Morcha's candidate over there. So
Abhinay, keep
definitely
an eye
Champa
on
is.
that. Abhinay, keep an eye on that. We'll come back to you because we have to now switch to Maharashtra. Really a news heavy day in Maharashtra, and our bureau chief Vinaya Deshpande will be joining us. She's actually waiting at a press conference venue and is joining us from there. Vinaya, what a day, man!
Shobna, it has been absolutely unprecedented, really, because we had anticipated that there would be a close contest. But look at the kind of sweep that has been done by the Mahayuti. Really, may it be the BJP which contested on the maximum number of seats here, or may it be the Shiv Sena of the Eknath Shinde group. It seems like even Ajit Pawar was undermined with respect to the kind of performance that he has. It is a clean sweep for Mahayuti. It is the kind of performance that we are seeing for the Mahavikas Aghadi now. In fact, it will probably bring them to an ignominy where they will not even have the leader of opposition position. Because remember that one-tenth of the position, one-tenth of the seats will have to be secured by a political party in order to get the leader of opposition position. As of now, none of the Mahavikas Aghadi parties have been able to garner one-tenth of seats by themselves, which is quite shocking. So really, in that sense, it has been a result which was not anticipated by anybody. Maybe the exit polls that Maharashtra saw till now, or maybe the ground reports that came in. We have seen that the number of voters for women, the percentage of women voters has definitely increased this time on as compared to 2019. That is being credited. That is one of the primary reasons. The preliminary assessment that is being done by the Mahayuti claims that one of the primary reasons for the victory is the large number of women voters who came out and voted. I am sorry, there's a lot of celebration going around behind me, so you can hear a lot of dhol tashas as well. We anticipate that the Chief Minister and the Deputy Chief Ministers will hold a press conference here within the next 10 minutes, and that is why I am not willing to leave this position to go anywhere else because I can't afford to miss this press conference. So many unanswered questions, particularly with respect to who the Chief Minister of Maharashtra will be now. Remember, the BJP had already indicated that if they get anywhere more than 100 seats, they will not compromise this time on who will that be. So all these things, we are waiting with bated breath for this press conference to take place. Shobna.
But yeah, there are two things you have to answer before I can let you go. One is there were two contests here. There was Shiv Sena versus Shiv Sena and NCP versus NCP. Can you give us a breakdown of how those contests went?
Well, it seems like Maharashtra has decisively given a mandate with respect to who the real party is because, in a shocking turnaround, really, we saw that in Lok Sabha, while it was Sharad Pawar, whose strike rate was tremendous, it was the best in the country. He fought on 10 seats and he won 8 seats. This time on, though, he has contested on 80 plus seats, and I believe he has got somewhere around 12 to 16 seats, if I'm not wrong. I will have to check the exact exact figure, but at the same time, even with respect to the Shiv Sena, the UPT has got somewhere around 19 to 20 seats or 22 seats, but it is Eknath Shinde who has got 56 seats. So, everyone contested on a substantial number of seats. It seems like that battle has been decisively decided for by Maharashtra. Baramati, which is the bastion, the home ground of the Pawars, where Sharad Pawar had fought against his own nephew and seven-time MLA and the Deputy Chief Minister of Maharashtra, Ajit Pawar. It is now Ajit Pawar who has won that seat for 8 consecutive time. So, may it be Baramati, may it be the rest of the state, 40 MLAs had come with Ajit Pawar when that switch happened, when Ajit Pawar went from Sharad Pawar to BJP. Now Ajit Pawar's camp has around 40 MLAs, which means the same number of MLAs. So the backlash that was expected to come in the Vidhan Sabha has not really happened. And look at the turnaround. The turnaround from Lok Sabha has been tremendous. In Lok Sabha elections, Ajit Pawar had got just one seat, and in Vidhan Sabha now they've got 40 plus seats. So clearly, with respect to state elections, the place where the government is formed and where the numbers really matter, it seems like Ajit Pawar has worked and his strategy has worked, and that his group has definitely gained a lot more seats. Don't remember.
So, Vinaya, there seems to be a lot of chaos at your end. I'll bring Srini at this point to talk about a couple of things. One, Srini, if you can take us through the performance of women voters, the choice of women voters, and also you traveled across Maharashtra. What were your impressions from the tour?
Yeah, see, first I'll answer the second question. I didn't travel to many parts. I traveled to a few parts in Western Maharashtra, some in Northern Maharashtra, and in the urban part of Marathwada, that is Aurangabad. And it was very clear that the Mahayuti, that is the BJP Shiv Sena alliance, was doing extremely well in the urban areas. There was no doubt that they would, come trumps there. But it was, I'm discounting Aurangabad here because of its peculiar religious makeup compared to other cities. But when it came to the semi-rural and the rural areas, the expectation was that the battle will be much closer. In fact, for every Mahayuti voter, I could also find a voter who suggested that he or she would vote for the Mahavikas Agadi. Having said that, most of my interviews were on the road, and mostly men, right? So that's a failing of most reporters, that we don't really capture the mood of women. And among women whom we could talk to, most said that they were beneficiaries of the Ladki Bahin scheme, right? Ladki Bahin Yojana, which is a cash transfer scheme by the Mahayuti government that was launched proximate to the Lok Sabha elections or later. And most of them not only said that they were beneficiaries, but the fact that they received all 5 installments. So that suggested that even if we didn't know whether they would vote for the government, at least they were beneficiaries for sure. So what these election results have told us is that it has validated the fact that most of these beneficiaries have actually voted for the Mahayuti government. Now, with respect to data, we know that the 65% of the total number of women who registered to vote actually turned out to vote in the elections. That's a large number of voters, and clearly, this increase or the uptick in women voting has been to the benefit of the Mahayuti government. Yeah.
But Srini, could you tell me exactly what is the breakup when it comes to the urban-rural divide? Is there such a divide, and has one one section favored one group more than the other?
Yes. So in a sweep of this kind, it is difficult to make a contrast between the urban-rural constituencies, because the Mahayuti has an decisive edge, not only edge, one decisively in all 4 geographical units, that is urban, semi-urban, semi-rural, and rural. But having said that, in the urban areas, the Mahayuti had an 11-point advantage over MVA, 47 to 36.8. In semi-urban areas, even more, the Mahayuti got 52.2%. 52.2% vote share. That is close to 20% points over the MVA. In the rural areas, on the other hand, even though the MVA was behind, it was not as behind as it was in the urban and semi-urban areas. So clearly, the Mahayuti had a decisive edge in the urban areas. If we look at it region-wise, can I go region-wise?
Yes, please.
Yeah, if you look at it region-wise, you'll notice that almost the biggest change that has happened here has happened in North Maharashtra. In North Maharashtra, the Mahayuti won close to 54% of the vote, and MVA won only 29% of the vote. That's a 20, almost a 25 percentage point difference. And interestingly, it was in the contest during the Lok Sabha elections, barely 6 months ago, was even dead even. It was 44 to 45 or something like that. So it's a dead even between these two alliances. We knew that in our travels to rural areas around Nashik, that the onion farmers were no longer as angry as they were in the Lok Sabha elections. But that said, the Ladki Bahini, probably a scheme, actually not only mitigated the anger that they had, but they also shifted the vote decisively to the Mahayuti. That seems to be the case in the North Maharashtra. In Marathwada, the epicenter of the Maratha agitations, there too the Mahayuti has had a strong performance. They have won close to 46% of the vote compared to MVA's just 35%. Here, I would credit the fact that the BJP consolidated the OBC vote by the very fact that they may manage to make the Maratha agitation seem like a proxy for the Maratha strongmen like Sharad Pawar and so on. And at the same time, they also fielded Maratha candidates in Marathwada to also win some of the votes there. So a cross section of the OBCs, I mean, not just a cross section, the OBC vote consolidation helped the BJP, and a shift in the Maratha votes also helped them decisively in this election compared to the Lok Sabha election. In the Lok
So
Sabha election, yeah.
it would be fair to say that the whole Jarange factor did not really work against Mahayuti as it was.
Yes, it did not work against Mahayuti as it did during the Lok Sabha elections. One thing I could notice was that the ardent supporters of Jarange Patil were not particularly keen on telling who they wanted to vote for. They did say that they wanted to punish the BJP, but they didn't say who they wanted to vote for. On the other hand, the OBC voters who are opposed to reservations for the Marathas, they were very decisive in saying that they wanted to vote for the Mahayuti. So that perception, the battle of perception was clearly in the favor of the Mahayuti, and that showed in this election. So and that could also explain the decisive shift from the Lok Sabha elections that just happened 6 months ago.
Yes, Srini, thanks so much. But be online, and we'll come back to you. Now we will be joined by Abhinay Deshpande. As I just said, it is a
Hi,
very, very busy day for reporters in Mumbai. So, Abhinay, where are you headed to?
I'm going to Sanjay Raut's place. I've just been to Silver Oak, Mr.
Hmm.
Pawar's house. So yeah,
Hmm.
I'm just
So
going to
clearly,
Sanjay Raut's place.
there must be an overwhelming atmosphere of sadness hanging
Of course,
in the
yeah,
air there.
yeah. They
So,
didn't expect.
Abhinay, I
Yeah,
want you to give me 4 reasons for the Mahavikas Aghadi's defeat. What do you think were the 4 big reasons for their
okay.
defeat?
Firstly, I would start with one thing that much aware voters of Maharashtra didn't like Maharashtra has seen 3 chief ministers in the past 5 years, one governor rule, and they didn't like the tod phod ka rajkaran. I mean the politics. So they gave a clear mandate to one alliance so that they can have a stable government or a stable chief minister. And most of them thought that why not go with the what I could feel on the ground. Despite I traveled across the state and I could see even in the Congress bastions, people are talking why not vote for. BJP or the Mahayuti because 4.5 saal for the next 4 years, Modi would be at the center. So it will be a double engine sarkar. So they were convinced by this concept of double engine sarkar for sure. And why Congress lost is a very big question actually, Shobana. So firstly, the organization strength. I mean, the Maha Vikas Aghadi, it has lost. The BJP's organization strength. And this election, we have seen, unlike Lok Sabha election, we have seen RSS working very hard. Like RSS was rallying behind the BJP candidates. Not just that they were doing the silent campaigning, but they had made sure that even on the election day, especially in the urban centers, they were driving the voters. What a expert had told me recently, even their bonded voters, not the loyal voters, but bonded voters to the polling centers, so that they should just vote first.
But
So this
Abhinay,
was,
how
yeah,
much did the fact that the opposition did not declare a chief ministerial candidate, the fact that Uddhav Thackeray was deeply unhappy that he was not named as the name of the
chief
as the
minister
chief minister
candidate.
face of the MVA, how much did this contribute to the overall uh, performance of the MVA?
Yeah, it definitely contributed a lot. I would say voters were very clear when it comes to BJP. Now, I spoke with a couple of BJP leaders while writing a story for on the RSS. I just spoke with two top RSS functionaries. They were saying that we know who is going to be the chief minister. Like they were saying, if Mahayuti was clear that Shinde or Devendra Fadnavis would be the chief ministers if they come to power, but when it comes to Congress, it was like, I mean, the Maha Vikas Agadi, Uddhav was very upset. Even the alliance was upset with Uddhav because during the seat sharing talks, he asked for like nine. They contested on 95 seats, whereas the overall bandwidth of the party was 56, which now Shinde is getting. Actually, he's leading on 55 seats, and people were confused who is going to lead. From Congress, there was not a big face. They didn't have a pan Maharashtra face from Congress. Nana Patole is, though he is the MPCC president, he is seen as a Vidarbha leader. Vijay Wadetiwar is seen as a Vidarbha leader. Balasaheb Thorat is from Western Maharashtra. He is not
And
seen.
he's losing his own seat,
He is
Mr.
losing.
Thorat.
Exactly. The Congress stalwarts like Prithviraj Chauhan and Balasaheb Thorat are trailing. Even Nana Patole is with leading with 300 odd votes. I just checked, and Nana Patole is leading with 300 odd votes. Like of 101 seats they have contested, they are hardly on 20 seats.
And it
And
didn't
that has
really help
definitely impacted.
no, it didn't really help that Nana Patole and Mr. Sanjay Rawat were at each other's throat every second day, right?
Yes, true. Because and it was BJP took advantage of it. BJP was playing like, see, they don't even have a chief minister candidate, but here we have a clear chief minister face. We don't want to reveal who he is. People know. Like they didn't say the name who is going to be the chief minister, but they gave hints like people know who is going to become the chief minister of the state. And now RSS is very particular. Like RSS, I just spoke with, like I said, I just spoke with a couple of leaders, and RSS is very particular that Devendra Fadnavis, they are saying our Swayam Sevak should be the chief minister.
Okay. So we
Yeah,
will know by maybe
exactly.
perhaps in a day
In a
or
couple
two
of two,
maximum.
yeah. But by
When would
26,
we
they have to form the government.
know? Okay. So
Yeah,
we
because
should know
26 is the last day of the current assembly. So they have to form the government by 26th, and which since they got a clear mandate, they would be in a hurry to form the government, or else president rule would be imposed.
Okay. So we will
Yeah.
know very soon who the chief minister
Yes.
of Maharashtra will be. Will it be Devendra Fadnavis, the leader of the single largest party in Maharashtra Assembly, or will they continue with Eknath Shinde? But for now, we are headed to Uttar Pradesh. Important bypolls here. 9 seats were up for grabs. We will be joined by Anuj Kumar, who
Yeah.
reports from Western Uttar Pradesh. Anuj, what are your key takeaways? Where do we stand in on what are the results so far on the 9 seats?
Hi, Shobna. As of now, BJP is leading in 7 seats, and Samajwadi Party is leading in 2 seats. And I guess after this election, I think Yogi Adityanath has consolidated his position, and his slogan has worked. His slogan "Batenge to Katenge" has worked not only in UP, and I feel it's have worked across the country in Maharashtra as well. And out of these 7 seats, BJP, the big story is about Kundarki, where despite 60% of Muslim voters, the BJP candidate is leading by more than a lakh votes, which is very surprising,
And
and it
didn't they
means
want Sapa wanted Samajwadi Party wanted a repoll in Kundraki, right? They had complained
right,
about
and
those.
now we know why it wanted, because it's very, very, very surprising. After 30 years, if BJP is going to win this seat, it will be after 30 years, and.
And the margin is also quite high. I was just looking at the
Yes, yes,
PCO.
yes. So it's very surprising that how it has happened. The voting percentage was around 57%. It is not like Rampur bypoll where the voting percentage was very poor. So
1
questions
lakh
will be raised.
margin in assembly seat is spectacular, more than
Pa-
spectacular.
Pardon?
1 lakh margin
Yeah,
in an
1 lakh
assembly.
margin is high, very surprising. And there were some social media posts that even when the counting was on, a banner had come up, kind of celebrating the victory of the BJP candidate.
Wow.
So that is surprising. And with more than 2 lakh Muslim voters, the SP candidate has secured only around 13,000 votes so far.
Yes.
So that's pretty shocking,
I mean, and
I
we
must say,
can
for the
go,
Samajwadi Party.
yeah, we can go seat by seat, but do
Right.
explain 6 months after the Lok Sabha elections, where Samajwadi Party gave a scare to the BJP and actually sort of brought in some semblance of uh, strength in the opposition with their performance in the Lok Sabha election. What went wrong in 6 months? How did the narrative flip?
See, at that time, see, it's a battle of two fears. At the time, the fear created by the India alliance was that constitution is in danger, and reservation is in danger. But now this is a bypoll, so these are issues for the national government. So those issues are not working now on the ground, and these are more kind of caste based elections, where the way tickets were distributed was kind of on the basis of caste equations, so on the ground. And in between, BJP has moved on from overconfidence of ab ki baar 400 bar to kind of again their kind of fear mongering, that batenge to katenge, ek hai to safe hai. So that has worked on the ground. So so from overconfidence to kind of generating this kind of fear has worked for them.
And
And this is,
do you
yeah.
see Samajwadi Party getting overconfident after their performance in the Lok Sabha elections? Do you think that worked against them?
Not really. See, in by-elections, this is usually the trend that the ruling party kind of controls the administration and those kind of things. So that comes into comes into play, and Samajwadi Party has alleged that those kind of pressures on kind of discouraging voters from voting in their areas and all that. So those things have come up. On their part, Samajwadi Party didn't come up with any new slogan. They were kind of repeating the same narrative which they kind of used during the Lok Sabha polls, and they could have come. They raised the real issues of farmers, etc., the unemployment and all those issues. But things have also changed on the ground since the assembly polls, because now RLD is kind of fighting separately. Azad Samaj Party is also a kind of a factor. So BJP has been able to kind of separate the combined opposition of the assembly polls of 2022 now into three parts. So in this sense, we should compare the 2022 polls rather than the Lok Sabha polls.
Okay. One last question, Anuj, before I let you go. Just after the Lok Sabha elections, we saw BJP in disarray. We saw the two deputy chief ministers fighting with the chief minister. Have things sort of, has the dust settled on that battle?
Yes, it was there 2 3 months back, but after that, this slogan came into the picture. After that, it felt Yogi ji is not only addressing the voter, they are also addressing his colleagues in the party with the slogan. When he says "batenge to katenge," he is also addressing his deputy chief ministers. And when the prime minister kind of comes up with एक है तो safe है, तो it kind of admission that the center and state relations should be they should work in cohesion and in unity. So it reflected on the kind of the party worker also, the cadre also, that it resonated with them, that now they are speaking in the same voice. Also, the kind of ticket distribution from the SP was, there were number of Muslim candidates, so it helped in polarizing, and RSS worked on the ground to create that kind of mood. So those things kind of work in favor. There are a number of Muslim candidates, particularly like the Mirapur seat, where Samajwadi Party would have been in a better position if they had kind of put a non-Muslim candidate there. The BSP and the AIMIM and the Azad Samaj Party Kashiram, they all kind of picked Muslim candidates, where the Samajwadi Party kind of chose a Muslim candidate, like in Kudarki or in kind of Mirapur, which were kind of seats where Samajwadi Party could have done better.
All right. Thank you so much, Anuj. Thank you for those insights. Now we are going all the way to Kerala. Very Kerala, of course, we have Priyanka Gandhi Vadra winning, most likely winning. She's far ahead of her competitor, immediate competitor. We will be joined by Anandan S, our Chief of Bureau from Kochi.
Hi,
Hi,
Shobhana.
Anand. Hi, how are you? So, interesting
Yeah, I'm good.
elections. Uh, I want to ask you two things basically. One, do you think the Congress leadership, the central leadership, uh, paid too much attention and spent too much time in Wayanad, a seat which they were anyways winning to begin with?
Absolutely, absolutely. Because they've had several road shows, and right from day one, everybody was here, including Sonia Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi, Mallikarjun Kharge, all the top leadership, the cream de la cream of the party was here. And apart from that, of course, IUML is the Indian Union Muslim League is a very strong force in that region. And considering that Rahul Gandhi has had a record margin initially, and then although it fell a little bit in 2024 in the general elections in April, May, it was still 3.6, which is pretty considerable. So the win for Priyanka Gandhi was a foregone conclusion. The only question that was in the air right from day one was whether she would touch a lead or a victory margin of 5 lakh votes. So she came pretty, not exactly close to it, but then, she has done pretty well for a debut candidate.
Yeah,
She
so
has
unnecessary.
she has a margin of about 4.1 lakh votes now, which is just about 20,000 less than what her brother had polled back in 2019. Yeah,
So absolutely unnecessarily wasting time in a single seat which
looks
they
like
knew
it.
that they will win, and not spending enough time in Maharashtra or Jharkhand, where they could have done a little better than
Yeah.
their performance
Yeah,
currently.
because even the opposition did not pay. Although they held their rallies and campaigns and all that, they were, uh, they were pretty sure that they would be nowhere close to any victory. They were only probably seeking to improve their position, but even that did not happen there. Because see, this came soon after the general elections, and people were generally quite tired of elections. So the turnout was also pretty low. There was a drop by about 8% in terms of votes polled this time around. And that has reflected in the total vote share of each of these political formulations. Like, although there was initially it was thought that the margin of the victor would be a little less, but then that did not happen. But then CPI's Satyen Mogiri polled a lot less compared to last time, and so is the case with BJP.
But apart from Wayanad, which was the answers to which we knew even before the first vote was cast, although that's not a very positive thing to say about democratic elections. But you had a thriller on hands in form of Palakkad.
Palakkad.
Let's talk about Palakkad. We saw it was mind boggling the number of leaders who switched sides. It was very difficult to keep a track of who was where and who went where and what time. And there was clearly, there was also at one point of time speculation that BJP could pull through this seat, right?
Yeah, there was this belief that the BJP, anyway, BJP is a force to reckon with in Palakkad, considering that it is holding the municipal council there in Palakkad, the urban local body. Plus, it came a close second last time when engineer Sridharan contested against Shafi Parambil. But Shafi Parambil has pulled off a victory in the last three elections, 2011, 16, and 2021. Uh, so, and from 2021 and 2016 and 2021, it was the BJP that came second. 2021, the victory margin was about some 17,000 votes, and this time around, Rahul Mankutatil has been able to cross that figure. So it's a record margin for the constituency, which was I would say, which was not in the dreams of even Congress workers because of the kind of twists and turns that the electioneering witnessed this time around. So, right from day one, there were bickerings within the Congress. The Congress social media had switched sides, and he became eventually the left's candidate in Palakkad. And on the eve of the election, there was a defection from the BJP. One of the leaders, a state committee member,
I think there is some problem at Anandan's end. His internet, there seems to be a lag. Srini, do you want to come in at this point and give us a larger picture of this election across Jharkhand and Maharashtra? What are your big takeaways?
Yeah, I'll put it this way. We after the Lok Sabha elections, the understanding was that the opposition was in a much better wicket than it was probably a year or so ago. But at the same time, we also knew that traditional wisdom in Indian politics is not playing out in elections the way it used to be. For example, in the assembly elections held just before the Lok Sabha elections last year in Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, and Rajasthan, the BJP not just managed to retain Madhya Pradesh, which was which they have been in power for quite some time, but they also managed to upend the Congress in Chhattisgarh, and even though the elections were closer in Rajasthan, they won there as well. So the BJP seems to have what is called a solid vote share that remains with it no matter what, and that's helping it gain floating by just gaining floating voters. It is able to defeat the opposition. The other point is that it doesn't matter if it is in government or not. The traditional wisdom that parties which are there in power for a long time face anti-incumbencies doesn't seem to be playing out in elections recently. May it be Haryana, may it be Madhya Pradesh, or even Maharashtra, as you see now. So this raises the question if the opposition is in a situation what the opposition was in the Congress system days in the 1950s and 60s, when you had the Congress being so predominant that even though it did not really win more than 50% of the votes, but it had a solid cache of voters that the opposition always found it difficult to upend it. And now we are in what is called a BJP dominant system, what political science called the BJP hegemonic party system, and that allows it to always have a substantive edge over the rest of the other parties. Partially the reason for that has got to do with organization, as some of our reporters also rightly pointed out. Abhinay and Abhinav, both of them pointed out the importance of organization and the solid backing that the RSS provides to the BJP allows it to withstand setbacks such as what it received during the Lok Sabha elections and get back to being hegemonic. Um, he also raises questions with respect to what kind of message the opposition wants to, portray during at a time, in order to fight the BJP. That the guarantee mode of trying to win elections, like what the Congress has done in recent years, trying to come up with welfare guarantees. I think that has also run its course because the BJP has, on its own, also built, the BJP and its allies have built an agenda based on welfare, as it did during the Maharashtra elections with the Ladki Bahin scheme. We saw this was successful for the Trinamool Congress in West Bengal with its own cash transfer scheme. We saw this was successful for BJP in Madhya Pradesh with a similar scheme that was that centered on cash transfers for women, and they have done the same thing in Maharashtra as well. So it can't merely be welfare guarantees and a promise of I won't call it freebies, but comprehensive welfare that will help the opposition sail through. It requires far more stronger work on the ground in terms of building organization and coming up with a more clear-cut message that takes on the BJP's ideology and not just trying to show that they can do better than the BJP in terms of welfare. To some extent, leaders like Sharad Pawar did try to come up with this message, but I think the split in the party did not help it. In fact, Ajit Pawar's message was that ideologically he was still closer to to the senior Pawar, but they felt that being in government and trying to come up with good schemes will be beneficial, and that's why voters will vote for them, and that turned out to be true, contrary to a lot of people's expectations. We all felt that Ajit Pawar's party was the weak link in the Mahayuti. On the other hand, his strike rate is quite good. I just
Yeah,
reading out some numbers. Yeah,
we all expected him to. We were all writing his obituary, political obituary. We all
absolutely.
expected him to be thrown out of the
Yeah,
equation completely.
yeah. In fact, the among the three parties, the BJP has a strike rate of 84%. It won 123 out of the 146 seats it contested. The Shiv Sena won 57 of the 80, 71%. And the NCP's strike rate was the lowest among the three, but still substantially good, 64%. It won 38 of the 59 seats. So, and if you notice, all the major ministers, I mean, the strongest satraps of the NCP actually stayed with Ajit Pawar, may it be Chagan Bhujbal or may it be Narhari Zirwal and so on, and Dil Walse Patil and so on, and they have all managed to eke out wins. If you notice, Dilip Walse's Patil's performance, I went to that constituency Ambegaon, and it told me that the contest was very close. But there was sympathy for Mr. Pawar, the elder Mr. Pawar, I mean. But Mr. Walse Patil, till I think 10-15 minutes ago, was leading by 1,000 votes. Narrow margin, but good enough for him to come up victor again for the 8th time in his constituency. So this strategy by Mr. Ajit Pawar to retain his strong satraps and focus on this welfareist message, that really helped it turn around his performance from the Lok Sabha election to the assembly elections. So, I mean, it's a conundrum for the opposition. It's not going to be easy, but it has to really, it has its task cut out, and it has to come up with a new strategy to take on the BJP's organizational might. And I think it is not something that can be done in a year or so.
Yeah, and the larger question is, does the India bloc survive really? Because after the Lok Sabha election, in fact, if my memory serves me right, then after June 4th, we have not seen India bloc leaders come together at one stage. There may
Right.
have been, and this election, more than the Haryana election, was a verdict on the India bloc's performance, because in Jharkhand you had JMM and you were in alliance with the JMM, and here you had three parties of the India bloc fighting together. And of course, there were be more knives out for the Congress? Because Shrini, am I right or wrong that Congress didn't really pull its weight in both the states?
I mean, in Jharkhand, its performance was not that bad. It won 17 of the 30 seats it's contested for a strike rate of 57%. It's lower than the JMMs. JMM won 79% of the seats it contested. It won 33 of 42. But that said, it did better than the BJP in Jharkhand. So I mean, it's yes, the knives would be out for the Congress and the India alliance. But I think the fact that they were an alliance helped them in Jharkhand, and therefore that is something they have to they would be quite cognizant. If there was no alliance in Jharkhand, for example, then it would have been even more. I'm pretty sure that the JMM would not have probably come up with this kind of a victory. The alliance definitely helped. Even though the Congress was not as effective as the JMM, but the fact that these two parties were in alliance helped both the parties. Even the
But
RJD pulled its weight.
do you
Yeah.
agree with this narrative that Congress performs relatively better wherever a regional force is in the driving seat? In Maharashtra, because it was trying to sit in the driving seat, and Nana Patole at no point, and we have had repeated conversations with him. Vinaya spoke to him, and when she asked him the question on who will be the chief minister candidate, he scuttled that question. He did not answer it, and clearly because he himself was an aspirant. So do you think
Yeah,
that
in Maharashtra, I think what happened was the three parties kind of divided their turfs. You had the NCP fighting it out. I mean, NCP Sharad Pawar fighting it out in Western Maharashtra, largely. The Congress, giving a tough fight in Vidarbha and areas of Marathwada, while the Shiv Sena trying to win the most in the Bombay region. So what I saw was when I went to North Maharashtra or Western Maharashtra, I didn't see a single Congress flag on its own, right? That or a Congress banner on its own. That clearly showed a lack of organization of the Congress in places where it is relatively weak. On the other hand, the BJP or the Shiv Sena, their presence was almost ubiquitous across the state. The Congress might have a compelling message. Its leader Rahul Gandhi might have done the Bharat Jodo Yatra and have built a cachet of support for himself. It may also have a message that might attract voters. Like, for example, Rahul Gandhi was probably the only leader who actually said during the campaign that he would fight for the reservation quota limit to go beyond 50%, and that's something that could have attracted both OBC voters and the Maratha voters. But that message never filtered to the ground. Nobody was talking about it. Clearly, the organizational weakness of the Congress, the fact that it is more a party of leaders than the party of cadres, suggests that even if its leadership takes up certain positions that could be lapped up by the public, it doesn't have the organizational wherewithal or the strength to actually let the message go through. And as you also rightly pointed out, in terms of leadership, the Congress, I mean, the UBT's main leader is Uddhav Thackeray, and the NCP Sharad Pawar's main leader is Sharad Pawar. But within Congress itself, I'm sure there were many claimants to the post of who is numero uno in the Congress. So with such a structure and constant jostling for power, that fact makes the Congress relatively weak compared to the BJP, and also therefore makes it reliant on regional parties to take on the BJP rather than on its own. You can see it in Tamil Nadu, you can see it in in Uttar Pradesh, and all these places wherever there is and even let's say West Bengal, wherever there's a strong cadre-based regional party or a regional party with a substantive, solid base, they can actually take on the BJP much better than the Congress, because the Congress just seems to have the message and the legacy as India's grand old party, but not the organization to back it up.
Yeah, Srini, somebody actually forwarded me on WhatsApp these numbers that out of since 2019 January, 40 elections have been contested. Congress has contested 40 elections. That includes 2 Lok Sabha and 38 state elections, and has lost 33 of them. So obviously, Congress has a lot to chew on. But one last question, and before we wrap up this entire thing, the big story from Maharashtra is the fact that two big leaders, Uddhav Thackeray and Sharad Pawar, seems to have been demonetized by the voters. My question, and I'm very curious to know, is why do you think they did not receive any sympathy? Because it was their parties that, in case of Sharad Pawar, a party that he created, and in case of Uddhav Thackeray, his father's party that was broken down, split. But why didn't they get the sympathy for that?
I suppose again, I'm just hazarding a guess. Such emotional appeals don't always work across elections. I mean, that appeal probably helped them during the Lok Sabha elections, and they needed a different narrative or an additional narrative beyond that emotional, narrative of having been, the victims of, the stratagem used to divide their parties. But I think emotive narratives can only work for so long. If you notice the BJP itself, again, it's easy to look at things from retrospect, but the BJP doesn't just hold on to a single narrative for all elections, right? Of course, Hindutva is their core narrative, but they package it in different ways. They try to filter that narrative through the issue of the moment or the issue of the day, in such ways that it is always shown as something new, right? Even if, let's say, as bogus a narrative as infiltration in Jharkhand, right? That's being done in a way to pit tribals against Muslims, right? So even though it's just naked Hindutva in a certain way, it's pitched in a certain way, right? So emotional appeals can't just be, in my opinion, renewed. They have to be renewed. It can't be the same emotional appeal. Can't just work across different elections. That gave them a cachet of support in the Lok Sabha elections, and they managed a remarkable win. They won 30 out of the 48 Lok Sabha constituencies, and I don't think that appeal just worked one more time, because they had to really renew it and come up with a narrative to take on the BJP and Shiv Sena, which renewed their narrative by focusing on welfare, the Ladki Bahin scheme in particular, which is emblematic of their welfare emphasis, and that worked in their favor, unlike the Congress and the BJP and the Congress and the NCP and UPT. Professor Subhas Palshikar, a veteran political scientist, wrote an article in another newspaper in India, if I'm not wrong, saying that in the last 6 months or so, the Congress was basking in its glory of winning the Lok Sabha election and didn't really, get on campaign mode immediately. And the same was the case with the Sharad Pawar and the UPT, the Shiv Sena UPT, which focused on the same narrative of having been betrayed by their own people. So and that was not clearly working. He did mention that point in an article, and when we interviewed him, he mentioned that point again. That seems to have played out the way he expected it to.
So, thank you so much, Srini. I think that's all the time that we have today, because we can go on talking about the elections and analyzing the granular details. But I think for now, we shall end here, and we shall see you again soon enough.